Going. Welcome everybody to our very first Friday webinar. It's hosted by Virginia's Council for Exceptional Children, as well as the Virginia Council for Learning Disabilities, and we're also being sponsored by the Old Dominion University Student Council for Exceptional Children. We've got 6 speakers with us today, all from varying backgrounds. I think it'll be really good to kind of see different perspective, different lanes, because I think we often get stuck in that one approach. So it's really good to hear from different perspectives about how instruction goes in the classroom. So we're going to have some opening remarks, introductions, go through panelists, introductions. If you have questions, make sure you toss them in the chat or the YouTube channel. And so the first hour will be just a quick questions to all our panelists. In the last 30 minutes, we'll go ahead and let our panelists answer all of your awesome questions that you might have. And then toss over to Mindy, I think.
Hi. There we go. Hi, I'm Mindy Gumpert, and I'm the president of the Virginia Council for Learning Disabilities. And I just want to say, VCLD is so excited to be collaborating with Jared and Mike and the Virginia Council for Exceptional Children on these webinars. We have a series of 6 scheduled, and we have over 650 people registered for the first webinar tonight, which is so exciting. So as our mission statement reflects, the Virginia Council for Learning Disabilities is committed to enhancing the education and quality of life for individuals with learning disabilities or learning differences. The best way that VCLD has found to do this is by providing quality professional development for teachers throughout the state of Virginia. We also want to be considered a resource for teachers, especially during these trying times. So the 2 organizations are modeling a collaborative effort and encourage you to collaborate with other professionals in your area in a more purposeful manner to improve the lives of students with disabilities. I just want to let you know this webinar series isn't just for special educators, because as we know, the majority of students with disabilities are spend their day in the general education classroom. So we welcome all educators and future educators to participate in all 4 of our webinars. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending your Friday afternoon with us and welcome you to our first Friday webinar. Thanks. You're up, Mike.
I am up, you're right. I'm Mike Solomon. I'm the president of the Virginia Council for Exceptional Children. We're a professional association for educators dedicated to advance and success of children with exceptionalities. We accomplish our mission through advocacy, standards, and professional development. We're too excited about working with VCLD. I think it's something I think that's been long coming. I think our 2 organizations have been just trying to figure out what to do, not what to do, but a way to collaborate on something. So it's a very exciting series of webinars that we're hoping to help not only special education teachers, but just teachers in general, because again, that whole entire thing, we're all for co-teaching collaboration. And I think the only way to kind of move forward is often by looking to each other for different ways that we can play off each other's strengths. And I think it's really important to think about those different perspectives, especially in the different learning environments that we're going to be going through for this school year. And I think it'll be future school years to come.
I think I get to go next. So I am Lisa Morin, and I am the VCLD president-elect, and I'm also ODU's Student Council for Exceptional Children advisor. So I just want to really spend my minute or 2 thanking ODU for allowing us to use the Zoom platform that we're using today. In addition, ODU and SCEC, the Student Council for Exceptional Children, both granted us permission to use SCEC's event registration software for registering for the webinar. So that was wonderful. And not only did they offer us these platforms, but Kristen White, from ODU's Center for Learning and Teaching, spent about an hour and a half with us, showing us the finer points of Zoom that we never really knew existed before. So we just want to thank all those people, and also especially ODU's Student Council for Exceptional Children. They support us. They've always supported us in our symposiums, and now they've supported us with disseminating information about our webinar. They are a great bunch of students. So thank you, and I'm so glad you all are here.
And finally, my name is Jared Hobson, and I'm the Vice President of Virginia CEC. And this evening, I'm also going to be the chat moderator. So if you have a question, put it in the chat, either on YouTube or in Zoom. And I'm going to be looking for those questions. I'm going to take those questions and put them on at the end. And then we're going to ask the panelists your questions. So feel free to share. If you see that I'm not answering immediately, don't worry. I'm putting it in my doc to use later. With that being said, we're going to turn it over to the panelists, and they're going to start by introducing themselves and then just giving a little bit of background on the resource availability that they have at their current positions.
So Lynette, I think you're up first.
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lynette Sanders. And just to give you a little bit of background on me, I have been in education for 20 years. This is my 20th year approaching. And I started out not in education, but in family and child development from Virginia Tech. And then I attained my endorsement in emotional disturbance and specific learning disabilities, K through 12. And then going on to earn an educational specialist degree in educational leadership in the area of educational technology and online learning, which is very pertinent to what is occurring at this point. And currently I'm a doctoral student at Regent University in the same area of educational technology and online learning. Currently my position, I am a special education teacher and department chair at Brighton Elementary in Portsmouth, Virginia. Brighton Elementary is also known as the Hive. And I am I'm thankful to be here just to share some of the things we're doing in Portsmouth. And then the next slide, if you would please, Lisa, thank you. Some of the resources that Portsmouth Public Schools provides for their staff and the students. Schoology is new for us this year. That's going to be our learning management system that we're going to use. Because we are focused on virtual learning. And then some of the others, Nearpod is another one. Of course, Zoom, and that is how we conduct our lessons. And then some of the others, and this is just a sample of what Portsmouth provides for its teachers and its students. There's a plethora of them, so I could not fill the entire slide with that. But this just gives you an idea of some of the offerings that they have for us. And one of the great features which make all of these important in terms of the ST Math, Gizmo, and the Google Education Suite is we have a central location for all of these. And also as we plan, we have our curriculum guides and pacing for all content areas. So I'm very grateful to be here.
All right, next up, we have Christy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christy McCowan. A little bit about me. I got my bachelor's degree in elementary education from Wise, Virginia. And then I taught for 1 year as an elementary teacher. I taught second grade general education. And then after my first year, I did a complete flip-flop. And I decided to do special education in the high school setting. And I found my passion there. So I went back to school and I got my master's degree from Radford University. And I've spent the past 6 years being a special education teacher at Christiansburg High School in Montgomery County. We do a lot of inclusive practices here. So I do adapted curriculum, bringing students who access adapted curriculum into the general education classroom, as well as doing some pull out and then doing full inclusion. And then this year I've tried on another hat. I just got hired to teach special education courses at Radford University. So I'm excited to start that as well. Some of the resources that we use, our school district provides Chromebooks pretty much from elementary up to the high school students. And everybody, the teachers access that. We're a Google-based school. So we do a lot on Google Classroom. This year, instead of Zoom, we're going to try out Google Meet. And we've done a few tutorials in that. So I'm excited to see how that goes. One of the other things that our school district uses that's really cool is something called MiFi. If you've ever heard of that, it's little boxes that uses 3G and 4G to students who don't have internet access in our area. And so they can rent out these MiFi boxes and get Wi-Fi at their house.
Oh.
Thanks, Christy.
Well, actually, I just have one question, Christy. Is that a fireplace burning behind you?
It's a fake one.
Okay. Just checking. I thought, oh, maybe I'm not seeing that right. Great.
She's actually on vacation.
Oh, another one
Yeah.
on vacation. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining us then. All right, Tuck, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here. Thank you to CEC for having me and Jared. I really appreciate it. My name is James Tuck. I'm an ESOL teacher. And for those who don't know, that's English for speakers of other languages. And I have a bachelor's degree in teaching ESOL and minors in Spanish and linguistics. I have taught for 6 years. I've only taught ESOL and I've been in Hanover County, Virginia. My first 3 years, I taught K through 8 at 3 different schools because we don't have a lot of English learners there. But then as our population grew, I moved just to the middle school and I taught 6th through 8th grade ESL to the English learners there at Liberty Middle School. I have currently transitioned to Hillsborough County, Florida, where I'm now living. However, that's just this year. Last year I was at Liberty Middle School and went through that whole the whole pandemic with you guys in Virginia. So I'm happy to be here. Some of the technology that we have in Hanover County includes Schoology. So Ms. Sanders, if you have any questions, I'm sure me or Mr. Hobson can help you with that because we've had a year or two with Schoology. We've got Google Drive and Google Suite. And most of our classrooms, at least at my school, have the smartboard projectors. So yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
All right, Alicia.
Thank you.
She said the weather was nice. She might be in the backyard.
As-
I guess so.
There we
Yes.
go.
Hi.
She's
Sorry
she's
about the
muted.
mute issue. I'm on a brand new laptop to me today, so I'm still working out where windows open and close at. I'm Alicia. I am a speech language pathologist. I have worked in the schools for 17 years, but across 3 different states, Ohio, Florida, and Virginia. I have supervised student clinicians, and I have done a little bit of everything. I am a child language specialist. I have a doctorate in special education, and I am here just kind of as a bridge, I guess, between higher education and K-12 education, as well as a unique perspective from someone who's been doing online therapy for, well, since March now. Hopefully, I'll have something interesting to add.
You will.
Oh, I'm supposed to tell you about technology too. I'm so sorry. Because we are a healthcare provider as well as an educational facility, we are bound by HIPAA laws as well as FERPA. So we use a HIPAA compliant Zoom platform for our online sessions. Materials are stored Google Docs, Box, OneDrive, whatever cloud-based storage we want to use so that we can best collaborate with the teachers around us. We have encrypted emails for all of our client contacts, and we have an electronic medical record system as well to help us stay in compliance with our documentation.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Kelsey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Blackburn. I'm also a speech language pathologist. I did my bachelor's degree at Clarion University of Pennsylvania and my master's degree at Old Dominion. I am currently a speech language pathologist full-time for Virginia Beach City Public Schools. And I also work part-time at an outpatient clinic called Southeastern Therapy for Kids. So I get to do a lot of really cool things in both settings. And I've been doing virtual therapy in both settings, but they've been looking very differently. So hopefully I'll be able to give some different perspective from different sides of things. As far as technology in my district, every teacher and speech pathologist has their own laptop and iPad. And the students all have Chromebooks. Aside from the preschool population, those were on an as needed basis this year, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And we use Schoology, a lot of Google Classrooms and things like that. So it's really nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kelsey. All right, Molly, we love your slide. We were commenting on it earlier.
Hi. I don't have a great picture of myself, but I do like my Bitmoji, which I'll bring up later in their presentation. But my name is Molly Gift, and I work for Fairfax County Public Schools, and I'm a specialist. I teach elementary PE at a school called Churchill Road Elementary in McLean. If anyone is from Fairfax County, hello. I have a master's degree from West Virginia University, physical education, teacher education, and then I went to Radford for my bachelor's degree. Also full-time, but during the summer mostly, I am the inclusion coordinator for the Fairfax County Park Authority. So I do kind of have background in the specialist side, but also working with children with disabilities and their families, and also educators during the summer to make sure all of our kiddos get provided the correct accommodations in our camp settings, which is pretty cool, except they were canceled this summer. So didn't get to do that as much as normal. That being said, the school I'm at is very fortunate that we were already a one-to-one school for 1st through 6th grade. So when we flipped to virtual learning, it was really easy, especially for our upper grades, to access the G Suite. They just kind of had to learn how, we switched from Blackboard to Google Classroom, but for the upper grades, it was a pretty easy switch. The younger kids had to kind of navigate the computer on their own or with their parents' help, but more than they did in the classroom. That being said, for PE in the classroom, we have an iPad cart of about 20 iPad minis, which is really cool in the classroom. We can't use them right now, but we did some pretty cool things with that. And every teacher has access to a laptop, and everybody has their own iPad. And our school just bought packages for Pear Deck and Schoology we're switching to after we just learned how to use the other platform. So that will be new for me too. So whoever does that, let me know. We use Flipgrid a lot to kind of give out information to the students, do fun things for them, and at the end of the year things. And then also in the classroom, they did it a lot to collect information from the students. So I'm kind of providing a different lens from this, for this.
Can I jump in really quickly? Christy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did you say it was called MiFi, like MiFi?
Yes, it is. And they're little boxes, and basically anywhere that there's 3G or 4G, then students can have internet access. As long as their cell phones work, their internet will work.
Gotcha. We had the question in the chat, and I felt like that was a good one just to go ahead and ask.
Yes.
So thank you. All right. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. We're going to roll straight into the questions. I think, Mike, you're ready for the questions?
Yep. Just reminder to speakers, it's 4:50. So we've got 10, just so everyone knows, we have 10 questions. So all our speakers are going to speak a little bit to each question. First question is going to start with Christy. So this question is, what has been at least one win with virtual instruction?
So for me, one of the big wins that I walked away with from virtual instruction is learning how to be able to collaborate with the people that I need to collaborate with virtually. Because one of the problems that I have in school is having to teach and co-teach with people, and I have no time to meet with them ever. So learning creative ways, meeting through Zoom, meeting through texting, using shared Google Docs. So learning how to be flexible and use various forms of collaboration with people that I need to.
Tuck?
Man, that was so relevant, Christy. Thank you for sharing that. For me, one win that I had with virtual instruction was getting to focus on my students' emotional needs over their academic needs. It really allowed me to experience, for example, 3 of my 6th graders meeting with me regularly on Zoom during my one of my office hours. And even when the weekly office hours were over, they messaged me on Schoology the next week asking if we could still meet, just because they wanted to share Kahoots that they had made about their lives, which was just a really interesting experience to go through that and really get to have that connection even in a virtual world through the pandemic.
I just want to say, James, I use Kahoot a lot teaching at ODU, but I've never had students do a Kahoot about their lives. I think that's brilliant. That's a really great idea, and I bet they love it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I heard about it in a Saddleback webinar, and they called them selfie Kahoots.
Oh, I love it. Cool.
I think it's also important. I really like the relationship part too, because I think the biggest one, I think as educators, I think it's one thing we all strive for is building that relationship. Trying to form that online connection with students is something that's it's a different perspective.
And I think I'm the next speaker on that as well. And that is our next speaker about this topic. And that was very related to what my win has been, which is there's a disconnect sometimes, particularly with the EI and the pre-K kids, where we don't, as therapists, get to see them in their true environment. They spend a couple of hours a day in the preschool. And my big win is that we get to see the kids in their typical environment. They are relaxed, and we can integrate the things that are around them, right? We can talk about the couch, the mom, the pet, the things that they like to do that they have readily available, and use those as we do intervention and help them learn how to communicate.
Wow, that's a great point. Love it.
Next up is Kelsey.
I think one of the biggest wins for me has been parent involvement. I would say about 2/3 of my caseload is preschoolers, so 2 to 5-year-olds. And, you know, in my outpatient setting, we have parents come back to the room with us while I'm doing therapy. So I'm explaining everything I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And we miss that in the school sometimes. So I found that parents are sitting right there with their kiddos, and I'm, you know, teaching sign language, or I'm teaching them how to use their iPad to talk, their AAC device, and parents are watching the whole thing. So then parents feel empowered, like I can do that. I can do that at home when we're eating snack. Or so I think parent involvement was the biggest thing that was great with virtual learning. Parents knew exactly what their goals were and exactly what, you know, I was doing in therapy, which was great.
And then Molly.
My answer is a little bit different, and I'll touch on it for the next question as well. But for specialists, at least in my school and within our pyramid, we did not go live with our classes. So my biggest win with virtual instruction was really figuring out what activity can I do and post for the students that actually engages them to want to do it, as it was not graded, and making it fun and actually receiving those items back, since we weren't face-to-face with them in the classroom. I did help moderate the chat, but only for 3rd grade and only for 3 classes. So that was the most interaction I really had. That being said, I really dove into learning iMovie and learning the different ways to put my learning targets on there, and all these different slides that I found that would really enhance the lesson. And it was so great seeing these kids going around their house. My example is an obstacle course, which I can post in the chat you can watch later for your entertainment. But I had my dog go through the obstacle course and taught the kids the words over, under, around, through, things that we would do during PE. And then you would see the kids and their parents would be following them around the house. Someone made an obstacle course around their whole house. And it was really cool. So I was really proud of that although I wasn't live, I still tried really hard to do things that would get the kids interacting with me at least, and also still touching on our curriculum.
And that motivation piece is, I think, is a big thing that we all need reminders of, is trying to make activities.
Sorry, Mike. My Bitmoji I'll talk about later.
Next up's Lynette.
Okay, so I would say there were several wins with the virtual instruction once we were out of school. And we also continued in the summer. We also offered at Brighton and throughout Portsmouth Public Schools a virtual summer school. So we continued from when we were out for the regular school year, and we continued into a virtual summer school. So there's several wins with that. One most important is that our students, we were used to interacting with them every day. They were used to being with us every day. And so the virtual instruction gave us an opportunity to connect with them. And a lot of them said that they missed us, and we said we missed them. We were able to make that connection even though we were not in the same room. And also the parents, solidifying our partnership at Brighton Elementary and in Portsmouth. That's what relationships with our parents are extremely important. And also we see it as we're a village. So it takes all of us, you know, even the hive, that's who we are. And so I would say that was one of the wins, biggest wins, was to actually see our students and to let them know that we care about them, and then show them our human side, that we miss you. And that was just saying to them, we miss you. And they would say to us, we miss you too. And, you know, just tell them we love you. And they say, we love you too. So just having an opportunity to see each other, even though we're not in the same room, I think is extremely important, because as students, they know we love them. We genuinely love our students. And so that gave us that opportunity. Another is also the different modalities, being able to address those. It could be through Nearpod or what have you, videos or things of that nature, some of the technologies that we use. So also those with different varying modalities, to being able to present it in a way that they are able to retrieve the content, and also find it that they take something from it. It's not just information they should know, but helping them connect it to, why is it important that I know this information?
Thank you. All right, next question. What is one area that you feel could be improved with virtual instruction? All right, you can just pick one. We don't have that much time. So we're gonna start with Tuck. What do you think, Tuck?
Hey, I think that one area that could be improved is greater access to broadband. I personally would love to see broadband and internet just become a public utility in general for greater access for all people. But one of the main reasons that I believe that many counties are allowing face-to-face instruction right now is because they know that not all students have access to internet. And so it's really nice that some counties are doing things like MiFi and that. But I also think that just greater access to broadband could be a more permanent solution.
Absolutely. Alicia, what about you?
I actually have where one of the panelists has said that for them a win was the increased collaboration opportunities. For me, that's one of the most challenging points, because as a therapist who's not in the classroom all day, I found myself having a lot of hallway meetings, planning things in coordination with teachers while we ate our lunch, and just being able to pop in where I was needed in order to get that information. And I can't do that virtually. So I have to pre-plan essentially when I'm going to talk with all of the professionals that are involved in one of my students' educational careers. And y'all who have special ed kids know that sometimes that's like 8 or 9 people in order to get a full picture of the kid. And I find that to be challenging. I would love it if we could somehow get on board for making our virtual workday include virtual collaboration time.
Ah, I like it. Awesome. Thanks, Alicia. All right, Kelsey, what do you think one area that could be improved with virtual instruction is?
I think a lot of my difficulty with it came from the lack of proper technology. So I work with preschool up to 5th graders. So the older kids all had Chromebooks and knew how to use them because they've been using them in school already. And then my preschool kiddos did not have Chromebooks. So that was very difficult because I was doing speech therapy while they were walking around their house holding their iPhone. And so a lot of the features that I really wanted to use on different websites or apps, it didn't work the same on an iPhone. And also I'm just like trying to do crazy things over here, trying to get the preschoolers' attention because my face is really small on their iPhone. So I think just engagement was a little more difficult as well. So I would say the technology piece with parents and students, and just not having access to some of the things like the high-speed internet and a laptop for one kid. Often older brothers and sisters were using the Chromebook, and so the little kiddos were kind of stuck on the phone or iPad. So
thank you. What about you, Molly? What area can you think might be improved with virtual instruction?
Well, mine is more of like a personal one with where my school, my pyramid, and pretty much the whole county was no specialists were live. So we either did our pre-recorded videos like I was explaining before, or we supported in the classroom teachers while they were teaching their content. So it is being improved because we are going to be going live 30 minutes a day. I'm sorry, students will get specials 30 minutes a day and 1 special per week. So they'll have PE 1 time a week, which I'm really excited about. Makes me a little nervous because I've never had to really run it by myself, but we have a plan to figure out how to do it all and give good lessons. So that was where I felt like we could improve, but we have steps going forward to fix that.
Great, thanks. All right, Christy, what's one area that you feel could be improved with virtual instruction?
With virtual instruction for us, I teach high school classes. So a lot of time for me, it was getting the students motivated enough to get themselves up and on a computer and to drive themselves forward with almost self-learning with guidance. Because a lot of hours were through video lessons and interactive activities online, but getting them to the computer, like if we held a Zoom session after a reading novel, we might only have half the students log into the Zoom session. Right. So just having that accountability and motivation piece to get the students up and motivated and there with us so that we could teach.
Great, thank you. All right, Mike. Throwing it to you.
Throwing it to me.
Stay on TV anyway.
So next question is, wait, do I still have a question? Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, my screen lagged. What type of instruction does your school system plan to do this fall? Virtual, hybrid, face-to-face, a mixture of models? Starting with Alicia, or what's the surrounding school systems in your area doing?
Right, so this is like a trick question for me because I was with ODU and they're doing virtual, face-to-face, and hybrid depending on the class.
Right.
I will be with IU South Bend starting, like now, tomorrow morning. And they are doing the same. The higher education, it really isn't a decision by the school. It's by the department, by the program, and then by what the course requires, right? But my surrounding school districts have all gone to virtual only until the end of September, with the one holdout, Elkhart City Schools, which is doing an option program. You can opt in face-to-face 2 days a week or virtual learning only. And we have yet to see how long that's going to last. As far as clinical services, like the therapies that I provide, it's all virtual right now.
All right. Next is Kelsey.
So in Virginia Beach Public Schools, we're going to start all virtual. And then when cases are between, I think, 5 and 10%, we're going to enter into the yellow zone, which means they're going to send pre-K through 5th grade, 6th grade, and 9th grade back for face-to-face. And then the rest of the grades will return. So we are starting all virtual. As to what kind of, how much will be face-to-face, like on Zoom versus asynchronous, we're not really sure about how that's going to look quite yet.
Mm-hmm. Molly.
So the surrounding schools near us are doing all virtual. So we're a 100% strong virtual start. If anyone is in Fairfax, words have been thrown out a lot. That being said, we do not have an exact date of when we will go back. It's going to be reassessed after first quarter. I've been doing a lot of work on our master's schedule. Without getting into too much detail, some of the things that I think is pretty cool that we found time during the day for was some MTSS blocks, family choice blocks. We're going to have every grade is going to start with a morning meeting and end their day with a closing circle. So we're kind of all uniformed on that. And we are pretty much teaching all day. So we do have built-in screen time breaks, but I do think it's going to be a lot for the students and staff, but we are going to do it and we're going to do it well.
I like everyone's positivity so far. Lynette, you're next.
Okay, I'm going to go back to question number 4. I did not get to answer that one. So let me say one area that I felt that could be improved with virtual instruction is to be able to collaborate with my co-teachers, have an adequate time for that, being that I am split between grade levels. So I may have anywhere from 2 to 3 different grade levels. So having adequate time to collaborate and in order to co-teach. The type of instruction that Portsmouth will be doing is that we're starting off as virtual for the first 9 weeks. And during that time, it will be evaluated as to what the next steps will be.
Thank you for that. And thanks for answering the previous question as well.
You're welcome.
Next up is Christy.
So our school is doing kind of a mix. So every student in the county has the option of enrolling in virtual school. And then everybody else is doing a hybrid model. So for the elementary, that means they're going to go half a day. And then that's all for them. The high school, though, the upper grades are going to go virtual. Half of the students are going to go virtual the first part of the day and face-to-face the second half. And then they're going to flip-flop. And the students who went virtual the first half will be face-to-face the second half. So it's kind of like a flip-flop of that. And then Wednesdays, everybody's at home doing virtual stuff, and that's like a planning day and a deep cleaning day for the school.
Thank you. And then Tuck.
So in Hanover County, Virginia, and both in Hillsborough County, Florida, where I am now, the counties are giving parents the choice to enroll in virtual school or to do face-to-face. However, in my new county, they have just changed their decision to be the first 4 weeks of school are going to be completely virtual, and then they will reevaluate. And I believe Hanover County is going to reevaluate as they go along as well.
Thank you for that. I guess next question.
Can I interrupt really quickly? There will be a quiz at the end to see if everyone remembers what everyone's school divisions are doing. So be ready for it. Yeah. Sorry, next question.
All right, who or where do you go when you're looking to learn more about a resource or idea? Let's start with Kelsey.
Yeah, so I'm really lucky. We have about 80, I think, speech language pathologists in my district. And so we have what we call professional learning communities. So probably like 10 or 15 of us will meet once or twice a month. And we have like kind of specialists in those groups. And I work a lot with students with AAC devices or alternative augmentative communication. So a lot of those kiddos that are using iPads and eye gaze devices to communicate. And so I have a specialist that I work with directly that goes to conferences and kind of like filters the information to me, since I have a caseload and it's sometimes hard to get to all of those things. So I really look to my professional learning communities a lot. And we met during virtual instruction as well. So we kind of kept that going. I also listen to a lot of podcasts on different topics. And I found that really helpful because when I'm traveling from school to school, I throw on a podcast and I learn something and I'm thinking, oh, that would work for my kid that I'm going to see in 30 minutes. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff to kind of fill my time when I'm traveling around. I also think there's a ton of free conferences just like this. For speech pathologists, they just had one last week, and it's completely free, and a lot of it is really applicable to my caseloads. It's like an instant thing. I can go to that, get some pieces of information, and use it. So I try to, just look. A lot of my colleagues really is just, they're so helpful, and so that's kind of the first place that I would go.
Great. How about you, Molly?
So my big one is Twitter. So I made a professional Twitter about a year or two ago, and I've connected with so many people just searching PE or searching for my professional organization and who are they retweeting. And I get so many of my ideas from there, and they are just great. And then, you talk back and forth and you create relationships with people all around, and you have an idea and then you twist it into your own, and then you share back with the other person what you did differently and they can try it. I'd say that's my biggest one. I've learned so much from Twitter. I also am on some Facebook groups that are PE specific, where they post cool ideas and I'll save them. And once I'm looking at my curriculum, I can circle back and say, oh, I saw something that had throwing and catching in it or a great assessment. Let me go see how they did it as well. I do have a good core group of professionals in my county that I speak with, people that I've worked with in the past, and people that they have strong connections with. But my big one would be Twitter all the way.
Wow, awesome. All right, Lynette, how about you? Who or where do you look when you need a resource or a great idea?
To learn more about a resource, I often talk with our technology resource teacher that we have, Mr. Beeman, and when we have a question, he will do individual sessions with us, professional development sessions with us if we are interested in idea. And also if we're like, for example, Nearpod, they offer a lot of webinars. So whatever I want to learn something about a particular app, I will tend to go to the site and sign up for webinars. So that's what I primarily do.
And are those usually free, Lynette?
Yes, Nearpod is free. And for example, currently I'm in Camp Engage, which is 2 weeks, and Nearpod has that where you learn different things about Nearpod and vocabulary. And so they're free completely.
Great. Lynette, I thank you for pointing that, because I think the big one, I think we often forget, there's so many great resources out there. And if you just go to their websites, especially a lot of the communication sites have it, a lot of the different academic programs have it. If you go to their websites, even their YouTube channels, they have all the instructional tools, all the videos, webinars that you might need on how to use the different programs in your classroom. So thank you for pointing that out.
Sure, no problem.
All right. How about you, Christy? Who or where do you go when you're looking to learn more about a resource or an idea?
So overall, our school district is wonderful in providing professional development with technology. So they even this summer did something called Tech Tuesdays, where every Tuesday you could sign up for a PD that's on a different resource that you could use in the classroom. And like Lynette, our IT is fantastic. If we find something and we're like, hey, Elaine, can you show us how to do this? She'll work with you one-on-one and show you anything you want to know about the resource. Some other ones that I do YouTube tutorials. There's someone who's called New Ed Tech Classroom, and he does really good tutorials on how to set up virtual classrooms as well as doing online resources. And then the other thing that I do is I go to Teachers Pay Teachers and I'll just type in virtual worksheet and see what people have done. And then I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then I adapt it to whatever I need, but I just need that jump start of ideas on what other teachers have used to create those resources.
Hey, thank you. All right, Tuck. Where do you go when you need a resource?
Oh man, so I teach ESOL, and there are 3 people that I just adore that I found on Twitter. And I'm gonna type them into the chat right now so that you can go to their websites. It should be there. Larry Ferlazzo, he has an edu-blog that is just has so many resources. Esther Park has a website called mrspark.org. If you're looking for technology tutorials or templates for Google Slides or like a virtual classroom, Esther Park all the way. Please go visit her website. Also, Emily Francis. She just has an amazing story as an English learner who came to the United States and is now an ESL teacher. And she frequently uses the hashtag PD for you and me on Twitter. And so I would echo Molly in saying that Twitter is a great place, but also those 2 websites that I linked for you in the chat.
All right, thanks. I remember Mrs. Park. I loved her. Okay, Alicia, where do you go when you need a resource?
So my answer to this was 2-part, which is right now, if I need a resource, my professional organizations have links and everything is high quality provided through them and usually free. When we first started the virtual learning, so if you were a teacher who didn't have to do the online sessions, it was harder to get good resources at that drop of a hat. And what I found to be most useful was social media. But unlike Kelsey, who's young and hip and doing podcasts and others doing Twitter, I'm old and I was on Facebook. But I love my Facebook groups, and there are groups out there for anything that's specific. And there, it's just a matter of post your question and somebody is going to get back to you instantaneously. So that's it. And I was also fortunate in that we had a group within our university program who was transitioning all at once as well. And so for speech resources, online websites, we just divided by area of communication or need. And each one of us did a deep dive. And then we created a shared document that just listed a huge amount of resources. And I put an abbreviated version in the resource list that is going to get shared with you all later on today. So.
Great.
And that actually gives me the perfect chance to explain any of the websites that are being mentioned. You can find on the slideshow on slide number 22. So any of these websites that they're referring to, I'm collecting them and putting them on slide 22. So if you need to find it, it's there. If you need the presentation, I'll put it back in the chat. Sorry.
Thanks. So I am also old, Alicia, I commiserate with you. VCLD uses Facebook, and Hip, Jared, and Mike use Twitter for VCEC. And that's just where the majority of our folks come from, and those are the platforms that they'd like to use. So we're a little bit opposite. So I'm feeling your pain there, sister.
And,
definitely.
And then to add before we go to the next slide, I mean, the internet's a great place. So, I mean, professional organizations, CEC also has a really great online forum. And forums are a thing of what, I guess forums are probably old school at this point, but there's a lot of great forums out there where there's a lot of different dialogues happening as well.
Right. Okay. All right. You're up, Mike.
So next question. Switched over. So I think we're all using many different new tools in our classrooms. Since that big question is, how have you introduced new virtual tools or activities to your students? So starting with Molly.
Okay, so this one's a little hard for me to answer because I technically haven't had to introduce them per se myself. What I had written down was what I would do in the classroom, which is a little bit different. But I know from our classroom teachers' perspective, we did a lot of planning. They did a lot of planning on making sure that everything was written down for the students throughout the entire week. They created agendas that were like 9 pages long that had directions and links to every single thing they were going to be doing every single day. And then they would have at the end of that agenda directions for the parents and the students of how does Flipgrid work. And a different teacher would take the time and make a really nice visual of how does this work? Step 1, step 2, step 3, kind of like if we were learning how to add a printer to our computer, what does it look like? And your SFIT sends it out to you and you follow the directions. Kind of the same thing that they did for our students, but just a little bit more student friendly. They did take a lot of time at the beginning of our distance learning to make sure the students understood one technology before they added in another. So we didn't start doing Kahoots and Pear Decks, all that kind of stuff at the very beginning. We started with expectations, how to use Google Classroom, had trainings for Google Classroom for parents and families, and then went forwards with that.
All right, thank you for that. Next up is Lynette.
During this period that we were out, from March until June, there were a lot of different free tools that were available, such as Brain Pop and things of that nature. So that was an optimal time to introduce that to students and just to kind of test to see what they enjoyed, what they didn't enjoy. So just pretty much just integrating it based on whatever the skill was and just pairing that up, planning and pairing it up to make sure it was aligned, of course, and then making sure that it was something they enjoyed, and even also giving them opportunity to choose something, particularly with EPIC, dealing with reading, or something that was of interest to them. So they bought into what was being introduced.
Thank you for that. Next up is Christy.
So a game changer for our school is something called Screencastify. And so that's a video recording add-on that's free for Chrome. So really, in one click, you can record tutorials yourself on your own computer. And if you have a touch screen, you can circle things on your computer, you can write on it, you can show students a sample, you can really do your own tutorials. And it's one click, and as soon as you stop, it uploads to your Google Drive. And then from there, you can upload it directly onto Google Classroom. And that was just a game changer for us.
That's awesome. Next up is Tuck.
I am a firm believer that many best practices for English for speakers of other languages, ESOL, many of those best practices also help all learners, especially exceptional students. And so some things that I do in my ESOL classroom or resources that I use, I believe will really help students who you all teach as well. For example, like repetition, breaking things down to do them one step at a time. And then the most important for me is not just providing students with verbal instructions, but also posting those instructions in writing. And what if you're in a virtual context this year, then that would just look as simple as just typing the instructions in the chat so that the students can read it and refer back to it. If you want to get advanced with it, you can make a Google slide or a PowerPoint or something listing them. But just whatever you have the most time for. And I think that those best practices for English learners also translate for exceptional students.
I like that. Next up is Alicia.
So introducing new tools, new and materials and activities to my students. Again, I'm divergent for my higher ed students. It was, we shared our list of resources and we told them you are responsible for figuring out how to use these, right? Given college age students, that's workable. Everyone else, not so much. And again, I'm a specialist on the little itty bitties. So again, I have the 2 and 3 year olds and 4-year-olds. So we as a group made a policy where we spend we made an appointment with their parents or other adults who would be present with the technology they would be using. And we spent 15 minutes walking them through the features of the programs and platforms that we used, so that the parents were there and could provide assistance. And then for the kids, yeah, it's all about providing a visual. So we very often would have just a little stamp of, this is what the picture looks like that I need you to click, that we would just leave up on the side of our presentation slide, so that we could say, no, remember, it looks like this one, and it'll be at the bottom.
I like that. Visuals are always good. Then,
Well, and it worked, right? Because I had a 4-year-old annotate a document at me the other day, and it just amused me greatly. I didn't ask her to do it. She just pulled up the pen and started going to town.
that's awesome. Kelsey.
Yeah, Alicia, I think I had the same experience. Kids pick things up really quickly. My students taught me how to use things sometimes, which was, it was great. It was a bonding experience. But as far as how I introduce new tools, I try to use what the teachers were already using because I'm a specialist. And so I co-teach with the early childhood special education teachers. And so I tried to not introduce too many new things at once, kind of like Molly was saying, just because I didn't want it to be overwhelming. And I thought that if teachers were already using this platform, I'll just go ahead and jump in on that platform, which was a little difficult for me because I was using a lot of different things. But I think it worked better for the kids because it wasn't, your teacher uses one thing, your speech pathologist uses the other. And I think parents were already it's overwhelming, all the things, all the different technology to some families. So I actually didn't introduce a ton of new things. I just kind of went with what the teachers were doing and kind of jumped in on those tools.
Right. Thank you. Okay, ready for our next question. Okay, so this is a two-part question and we are running out of time. So you're gonna have to bang it out, guys. You are professionals. I feel like you can do this easily. So what is your favorite virtual tool to use in the classroom? And once we return to the classroom, do you plan to continue to use some of the tools you have used for virtual instruction? Let's start with Lynette.
My newfound favorite virtual tool is Nearpod, being that it provides, it does accommodate students with read-aloud accommodations and also translates text for those that are English language learners. And yes, I do plan to continue to use it because it allows you to give students a sense of independence. So you can have some that are on the computer and some that are in small group. And so you're able to differentiate and meet those needs.
That's great. All right, Christy, how about you?
Okay, so for me, it's using the Google resources, number one, because they're free. And I don't have to pay for them. And you can it's so versatile. You can do anything with it. And then pairing that with a Screencastify. So I'm going to share my screen for just a quick second to show you what that looks like. Oh, it's disabled. So one thing that I could do is pull up a Google Doc, and I modify text a lot. So I'll put a modified version of the text on there. And then I'll use the Screencastify to do a read aloud. So then the students can actually listen to me. That's my voice. They can hear that they're used to. They can listen to me do it. One thing you could do with a Google Doc is a web search. So you could embed links within the doc. If you use Google Slides, then you could actually go through.
Sorry, you should be able to share.
Oh, let me try. It says host disabled.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna square that out. You can just keep talking.
Sorry.
You're fine. And then some other things you could do for the Google Slides and the Google Draw, you could make worksheets that are interactive so that students can actually click and drag things. And if you make boxes that are that you can see through, you can actually have students highlight text by clicking and dragging boxes. So just using those various resources and just learning how to be creative with it.
Awesome. So maybe we'll come back to you to share your screen at the end.
Sure.
Christy? All right, awesome. Hey, Tuck, what about you? Do you remember the question?
Yes, I do. I am, thank you so much for checking. So my favorite resource to use in the classroom is anchor charts. And I just love the visuals. I love the step-by-step process that I can show my students. Here's a pro tip for you though, that a lot of people won't tell you, actually two. One is complete them with your students because they will be more engaged and they will retain that information longer. Two, in order to do that, pair it with a closed notes like sheet that matches what you're going to create on the anchor chart. I'm going to post in the chat this free resource that I have on my Teachers Pay Teachers site, so that you can see an example of that in action. It's an anchor chart that I use with 6th grade math for my English learners. And for the technology, or when we return to the classroom, I plan to continue to use some of the tools that I used last year, which include this next link that I'm going to post, which is talking points. I did use Google Voice last year to text with parents because it gave me a new phone number on my phone, but the messages could still come to my phone so that the parents didn't have my real phone number. However, with Google Voice, it doesn't have any type of translation tool. Talking Points does. So how that works is the user selects what language they want to receive communication in. So I can be typing in English, send my message to my parents, it comes to them in whatever language they prefer. So if they pick Spanish, if they pick Arabic, if they pick French, it comes to them in that language. And what even takes it a step above other things is Talking Points has real interpreters, people checking the translations of the messages, so that it's not just like Google Translate where you might have some things that are off.
Right. That's amazing. Wow.
That's an awesome resource. Thank you.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
used Google Translate, and it is kind of, I get more distracted by the translation and the spelling errors than anything that they're writing on the screen. All right,
Right.
Alicia, how about you? My
My favorite tool is, honest to goodness, my cell phone. I use it as a second camera into my Zoom links. So what I found is that a lot of the kids are having exhaustion with the digital activities. Digital flashcards and spinners on the screen are great, but they're missing actual human interaction. And if I can have me in a little box and I can share my camera, we can play a real game and they can see the pieces and tell me what they want. And we've played silly little games like hide and seek, right? Oh, I'm going to turn the camera off. Now you have to find something that starts with a S, and I'm panning over and they're yelling at me, go up, go down.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
That is my favorite tool. I will obviously use it going back into a new school year. I'm really looking forward to trying some green screen activities where you can do some really great things, hiding things in pockets on your green screen and using yourself as their manipulatable tool. You are their mouse, right? Take that out, take this, move that.
Wow. That's awesome. Thanks, Alicia. How about you, Kelsey? What's your
Just
favorite
list-
virtual tool?
Yeah, I'll just list a couple that I really like because I can't pick one. But I was using virtual field trips a lot
Yeah.
and that was great because preschool through 5th grade, there's appropriate ones for all different ages. So for me, that's great because I didn't have to plan a bunch of stuff for different age groups. Boom cards, Kahoot. I like just using a book, like a real book, right in my hand. I used Epic. The books is like on animated books online, different things like that. And I use a lot of Pixar short videos too. Gotta love the Disney Plus accounts for that. And so, but the main thing that I really think was the best was when I recorded myself doing lessons and sent it. So real quickly, as a specialist, I kind of had the choice whether I would consult with some kids or see them live time. And I kind of left it up to the parents to see. We tried live time. If it didn't work, I would record lessons. So I would have a story online, I'd be reading it, I would pause it, ask a question. It was a lot of Dora the Explorer type of pause and wait for them to answer type of thing. I would also, bring up the virtual field trip or a live camera of a zoo, and we would do our speech language lessons. I would model sign language, different things. Then I would send those videos to parents, and then they could just put them up on the screen whenever they had time. So it worked out well. And I thought that those were better than, at least for my kiddos, than sending like packets of work or sending links to parents. Everything was right there. They just had to put it up on their TV or their phone, and kids could watch it and get a little lesson. And I think I'm actually going to keep doing that when we do return to school, rather than like a newsletter to parents or things like that. I'll probably supplement what I was doing to keep parents in the loop, and also just do a quick video of here are signs of the month, or here's a fun way to use your child's AAC device. Here's a fun little folder in this device you might not have known about. So I think I will keep doing those kind of little videos and things and recordings.
How fun. I love the idea of a virtual newsletter. That is brilliant.
Yeah. And I, two of the videos that I made, please be kind, because I'm very awkward on video, but I did attach, I think they attached them to the end of the PowerPoint. So you can kind of see what I mean as far as how I recorded videos and paused. And some of them are even like parent trainings. So you can kind of see what I mean.
Awesome. All right, Molly, what do you got?
Okay, Lisa, I don't know if you can pull up my picture from before, but I will start talking. As a school, our favorite tool, I think, that is going to be used across the board is Pear Deck. If you haven't heard of it before, think of like a really cool interactive PowerPoint. It can be student-led, so if they're doing it on their own time, or teacher-led, meaning they can't access the next slide until you give them permission. What's really cool about that is you can get immediate feedback. So if you're doing math, and you can see the kids' answers and see if they're really getting it or not. They can't see others' answers, but you can just get real feedback very quickly, since you're not able to walk around the classroom and actually see that. And then you can also make that into an assessment. So one of the things for PE is how are we going to assess them and teach them and do it in 30 minutes. So I think we're going to be using Pear Deck a lot, and then having some type of assessment at the end that they can do student-led to see if they're really understanding the content that we taught. We did pay for the upgraded version. I do believe there's a free version, but someone else may know. Another thing that I want to continue doing, something that I was really excited about, was the Bitmoji classroom. So there's a lot of people on here. I'm sure a lot of you probably made your own, but this is a virtual field day I made. Unfortunately, I can't share it with you because of our privacy settings in Fairfax. It won't, and it also can't copy it or duplicate it in any way. So here's a screenshot of it, really cool. You could click every single cone and it would take you to a field day event led by a specialist. So this was kind of our way to, you don't get to see us every day like you used to, but you can look like each specialist is next to a cone, and I gave them the directions and they explained the field day activity, and it was really cool. So I plan on doing that more as like a choice board activity once I'm done with my live lessons. Take a picture of the inside of our gym and have a different theme for, maybe two weeks, and then make a new one. And I just think it's really cool and fun. I'm sure a lot of you did it, but it was a lot of fun to do that.
You guys are awesome. Yay. I'm so excited about all these resources. I've been frantically writing notes. Okay, Mike, you are up.
Next question. So in lieu of time, let's try to keep it maybe 2 to 3 sentences. If you could give an educator one piece of beginner's advice as to how to get started with virtual instruction, what might that be? So starting with Christy. Still
So
there?
my advice is first and foremost, take a breath. Like everybody is feeling overwhelmed, just take a breath. Next, just brainstorm, see what you can find, and then play around with it. You'll be surprised at what you can figure out on your own after you've jump started your own creative thinking.
Great.
Thank you. Next, Tuck.
My one piece of advice is to prioritize Maslow's hierarchy of needs over Bloom's taxonomy. Not just for your students, though. Please hear this. Do it for yourself too. You deserve and need to make sure that your emotional well-being is taken care of before you focus on academic progress.
Thank you for that. Next up is Alicia.
Keep it simple to start. Learn your tech platform, whatever the platform is that your school is working with, learn that one. Figure out what you can do within it. Does it have annotation tools? Does it have a built-in video? Can you use your shared camera? Don't try to change how you teach. Find the tech that matches how you teach.
I like that. Then Kelsey.
I would say you as the educator are the most important tool for student engagement. It's not necessary to use all the technology at once. Rather, my advice would be to keep it simple, choose one idea at a time, build upon your virtual toolbox. Your personality and energy level can be more impactful than an app or a website. So I think if we're engaging with our kids, they see that they're going to be engaged. That's really important.
Thank you for that. Molly.
In the PE world, one of the biggest things that's important throughout the whole year and in the classroom is just setting really specific expectations and routines from the very start. So like everyone said, learn your platform and learn what your expectations are and make sure that they're being met before you try to add in all of these extra tools that we're talking about, because that's where I feel like it can fall down very quickly if the kids don't know exactly what to do or how to act. That being said, it's okay if it doesn't work. It doesn't mean you're a failure. Just keep going, try again, ask for help, and just keep looking out there for different ideas and suggestions.
Thank you. And then Lynette.
I would say the one piece of advice is to remember that you're a lifelong learner and that everything does not have to be done in one sitting. And then also accompanied with that is seek out your resources that you have at your school so that you're able to get with colleagues or your technology resource teacher and seek that out. Don't be afraid to say, I don't understand, I do not know. Recognize that you're a lifelong learner. And that's just how it is. We're still learning as we go through this virtual challenge in uncharted waters. So
That's all really great advice. Thank you for all that advice.
All right, next screen.
And now we're up to question and answers. So here's the deal. Everyone in the Zoom has seen all of those questions. So we have 175 people in here that have went through and listened to this presentation. And first of all, I want to say thank you for giving us your time on a Friday afternoon. That's what it's going to take. And we appreciate you all being here. But now that you've seen those questions, I'm going to ask you all to be ready because we want to hear your answers to those questions. So through the Twitter platform of Virginia CEC, through the Facebook platform of VCLD, over the next couple of weeks, you should see these questions being posted because we know that you all have lots of great ideas and lots of things that you've connected to today, and we'd like to hear about those things. So we did have a couple of questions, if you'll go to the next slide. And they were very particular questions, so. Oh, you may have to go out and back in.
Well, these are available to you. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Okay. So question number one, you may only be able to see it if you're on the presentation, the current presentation. So the first question is for Alicia and Kelsey. is there a place to see an example of speech therapy virtually? And I put the answer as the teletherapy resources that were given, and also the asynchronous examples that Kelsey gave as well. Do you all have anything else you'd like to add about examples of seeing speech therapy virtually?
Be cautious, because you can see some really bad examples of speech therapy as well as some good ones. Just a general Google search is probably not the best way to do it. Go with the resources. Kelsey's given you good examples, and I linked a couple on there as well.
Yeah. And I mean, speech therapy is difficult because we have a vast variety of kiddos and age groups and ability levels. So it's just like everybody else, one size does not fit all. I will say, if you can weed out the not so great examples, there are some really, really awesome speech therapists that are on Instagram, and they often post little clips of things, and I've gotten really awesome ideas. Bajorm's speech is one of the really good ones. I think some of her cues and things are great, but if you are able to kind of distinguish the good from the maybe not great examples, Instagram is a good place to look.
Kelsey, do you mind to type that Instagram handle into that question on the slides?
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then the other question was, I believe, for Lynette. You said you were doing some training through Nearpod. And can you tell the name of what that was called?
It's called Camp Engage. So camp and then the word engage. They're going, we just finished the first week. And then there's a second week that's coming up. And so what I can do is make sure that you get that link. And so you're able to see what sessions. We were able to select what sessions, such as getting certified through Nearpod, certified through vocabulary. So there's a plethora of things to choose from, and they're all awesome, and they're recorded. So I may also share that too. I could share that too as well. If you like, Jared, I could do that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And that's a good point. A lot of these resources, they have their own training, and they'll really put you through the gauntlet. If you want to go through it, and they'll even give you certifications and things like that. So then they want you to then be a person showing others in your building or in your district how to use this resource. I'm going to give 30 seconds. If anyone else has another question and they want to type it in the chat really quickly, go ahead and do that. Lisa, if you want to go to the next slide, I can explain a little bit about some resources. So on this slide, this is one that I was referencing to for most of the questions about links. So any website that talked about today, through panelist answers to questions, we went ahead and put a link in here for each of those resources. So you can go and explore, play, but also reach out to one of us. If you have a question about a resource and you're not sure how to use it, we're happy to help you figure that out. On the next slide, we also have kind of next steps. If you're looking for, I believe Kelsey referenced all these free webinars going on. There's so many right now, including one that I just added yesterday. The University of Florida Literacy Institute is having a virtual teaching webinar series, and it's all free. And it's all based around a hub that they developed in March. And it's this huge ordeal where they're giving free resources to help teachers that are teaching reading. Also through CEC, we have tons of resources for teaching remotely. If you click that top link, we have all kinds of webinars and all kinds of additional resources that you can go and explore through our website. If you all have any additional things that could be put on here when we're reaching out over the next couple of weeks, please, we're doing this with a community focus. We're supporting one another. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. So if you have a resource that you want to share with us, please reach out to us and we're happy to add it and share it as well on social media. No more questions? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people throwing some ideas in the chat right now. This is great. And this is what we want to see. And we want to continue this through our social media platforms.
I saw one question about privacy. I think privacy is a big thing to think about. And I think one angle you always remember is whenever you're looking at resources, always check with your school system. Oftentimes your school system already has an approved list of resources that's already been vetted. I know another really great one's called Common Sense Media. It's a group of not-for-profit group online that goes through and actually reviews the website and will tell you any of the privacy concerns, whether or not websites are safe and all that different stuff, all that different information as well.
And there's a link to Common Sense Education on that slide as well, because they also have a distance learning teacher center where you can check on privacy, but get the resources as well. All right, I think it's time to talk about the future and what the future holds. Is that right, Mindy?
That is right. Waiting for the future slide to present. There we go. Okay, so I'd like to invite you all to our second First Friday webinar, which will be September 4th from 4:30 to 6. And the topic will be COVID-19 and special education law. So the law hasn't changed. IDEA is the same. We still have the same requirements. What has changed is our reaction and our actions regarding how we plan and implement our IEPs and our paperwork. So we will have someone from the Virginia Department of Education to talk about special education law and the way that we can coexist happily during this COVID-19 era. So we have a registration link there. We're also asking when you register, if you have a burning question or if you have a scenario that you would like answered, please put it in your registration link and we will forward it to our presenter, because we really, hopefully you got the sense that we want to be a resource for you. I mean, look at the chat, it's amazing. So we want this next webinar to be very specific and we want to answer your questions and be as helpful as we can. So if you have any questions for the presenter, please feel free to put them there's a space on the registration. So we're excited about this next one too. And this has been amazing, but I have to stop talking now. So sorry. Okay, go, Jared, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
And then next slide. So again, if you're looking to register, that top link's the registration link. Next, for certificate of completion, if you click on the link in this chat, Jared, can you drop the link in the chat as well? You'll see it'll take you to a Google form, where after you submit that Google form, within about 3 business days, you'll receive an email with the certificate of completion. And with that, work with your school system to process it. But by submitting that link, you'll be able to get your certificate for professional development points within about 3 business days. If you don't receive it within 3 days, just shoot us an email and we'll make sure we send it off to you. After you do the certificate of complete, the 2 questions for the PD points, we do have a survey. We encourage you to answer the survey just to give us some feedback in terms of what you liked, what you didn't like, in terms of what topics and subjects you might want to hear from us in the future.
Also, just make sure, one last social media plug, please follow us on Twitter at Virginia CEC. That's where we are more involved. And for VCLD, they're more involved in the Facebook side. So please like their Facebook page. And we hope to see you on there and in the next webinars.